So well guys, in the previous video we have seen how to install this SAP client or the login launchpad and connect to it and start uh, uh, communicating with the SAP server. Now we'll understand few screens related to SAP, or in other words understand our application under test. Our application under test over here is SAP, so that's what we are trying to understand over here. And why we need to understand this SAP or the application under test. The first thing that you need to do as a performance tester to create any scripts on Vusion, the very first thing is you understand the application under test. Could it be your web application, or could it be your SAP over here, or could it be something else? So the first thing that you need to do to create the scripts on the Vusion is to understand our application under test, and over here it is our SAP screens. So we'll try to understand these SAP screens, and this particular tutorial will help you to navigate through these SAP screens and use this SAP client and get comfortable with that. Okay, and just to set the expectation, here we are not here to learn the SAP, okay, from the front end, or become an expert, SAP expert, or understand all the modules of SAP. So the course is definitely not for that. The course is how to use SAP with LoadRunner. This is what the course is about. Okay, so most of my time I'll be spending on how to use SAP with the LoadRunner, and here you will learn a little bit about SAP. Okay, only that much, so that you could use it, so that you can create the scripts. But here you will not become an expert in the module, or I'll not go through the entire module and all that. Well, I've recently done a couple of projects, one long time back and one recently concluded. I have a minimum knowledge of SAP, but that's what LoadRunner people are expected. We are here as an LoadRunner experts, not SAP experts. So well, the expectation is that you wouldn't be a master of SAP, certainly. So that's what my expectations was, and whatever the SAP that I needed, I've done a little bit of research and I got to know it. And if there is anything which is really complicated, I used to reach out to that SAP professionals, experts, to help me out on those certain aspects, okay, to help me with the data dependency and all that. But however, you are putting this in your resume that you have worked on an SAP GUI protocol. People expect that you know a little bit of SAP. So I'll tell you some in the class, and I'll expect that you take that points and build upon it and learn few hours to spend few hours to learn more about it. Okay. Now, before I get into it, the whole SAP can be broadly divided into functional and non-functional. Non-functional is technical, so I would say functional and technical. So here I'm going to give you some module, and then the functional is divided into multiple modules, and the technical is divided into multiple modules. So for example, for the functional, you can see the modules which are there for the functional SAP ERP. So you can see that, material management, that's what I'll take this module, and I will take few screens of this module, or what we call it as transaction codes or T codes. I'll take few transaction codes or T codes of this module, and I will explain and give you the flow of them. Okay, but the whole SAP ERP can be divided into multiple modules, as you can see here: material management or HR module, and PP, production planning, or financial supply chain management, sales, S&D, sales and distribution, PS, project system, FICO, financial accounting and controlling, PM, plant maintenance, and QM, which is quality management. So the whole SAP is divided into so many modules. Typically, to learn a module, it will take 5 to 6 months. So, and we see some experts which are just MM experts, or HR experts, or PP experts. Very few people know all those modules. So just to learn one module, it takes a lot of time, 3 to 5 months. So imagine, what it is to learn all these modules. So either you can see a FICO experts, or MM experts, or HR experts, or PP experts. So it's not possible for a single person to learn all the modules, although there are certain people who know 2 to 3 modules and all that. So here we are talking from the SAP point of view. So here for performance testing, whether they have given MM or HR or PP or FICO, the process is the same. The LoadRunner works the same for any of those modules, but the knowledge of those modules, you either have to do basic research online, get the basic knowledge of those modules, or you can or your company will give you the knowledge transfer required for this module, or you can touch base with the developers to get the module knowledge. So here in the class, I'm going to talk about the MM module. In MM module, we'll pick up certain flows and we'll understand those flows, and then you can do, taking that, you can do further research and you can explore the other flows. Before I go any further and talk about the flows of MM, so let's have a quick look at of SAP once you log in, how the SAP main screen looks like. So once you log in, this is what the SAP Easy Access screen looks like. Okay, on the top we call this as a menu bar, and this one we call it as the title bar here, which is an SAP Easy Access, and this is a very important bar which we call it as a command bar. Okay, so this is where we enter our transaction codes or the T codes. Okay, and this is the standard toolbar, and this is the status bar, which is very important as well. So these are the two bars which we will be using often. One is the command bar and one is the status bar. Okay, so first let me log into the SAP and show you this easy access screen. So this is my okay, let me start from the scratch. So once you install the launchpad, it will show up over here, and here you have to enter your connection string. In the earlier videos I have shown you how to make the connection and all that. Now you click on that. I have two, but for you will have only one. This is for my project which I am involved right now, and this is what is for the learning purpose. So click on that and you click on login. I have already given the username and password. So to look at all the previous usernames with which you have logged in, you have to enter the backspace, and it will show you all the usernames with which you have logged in before. So you haven't logged in before, you have to enter, but since I have logged in with all these usernames before, so I'll use one of them. So password is also provided, so enter that password. So you see, this is the screen that we are talking about. So this is the screen that we are talking about. This is the command bar and this is the status bar, and these two are the important bars that we see, and this is the menu bar and this is the standard toolbar. Okay, and the title bar here. So command bar and the status bar is what you're going to see all the times. Now we're going to understand some flows over here. The first flow, so the first flow in the SAP MM module, the purchase requisition flow. So we'll try to understand what is this purchase requisition, why people do the purchase requisition, which organizations it will be done, and then we'll go to the SAP screens and we will create a purchase requisition as well. Okay, so what is this purchase requisition? You see, purchase requisition is a request that is made to the purchasing department to procure certain list of materials. So let's say you're working for a big organization. Okay, let's say you're working for a big organization. Let's say you're working for an organization called Wipro. Okay, it's a very big company. Okay, a big IT company. Okay, so now you're a part of performance testing team. Okay, so you are a part of performance testing team, and let's say you are a senior manager. Okay, senior manager. Now for this team, let's assume you are supposed to order some stuff. You know, there is some requirement for your team. For your team, what you are doing for your team, you need to order some stuff. Okay, so let's assume, okay, you're supposed to order some CPUs, okay, and some monitors, okay, and probably some servers. Okay, so let's say this is what you're supposed to order for your team. This is what you're supposed to order for your team. So yeah, so you are supposed to order these things for your team. Okay, there are three things that as a manager, as a senior manager, you're supposed to order these things, not for your personal use, but for the company use only, but for the team. Now that even though you're a senior manager, you cannot order this stuff directly, because Wipro is such a big company. You're not the only one senior manager. There are hundreds of senior managers, and there are hundreds of requirements from all these managers. So there is a particular process for this. So as a senior manager, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to raise a purchase requisition request, a PR request. Okay, a purchase requisition request is what you will raise. Okay, so internally you have an SAP application. You open the SAP application and you open the module. In the module, you go to the purchase requisition screen. You go to the purchase requisition screen, and in the module, okay, there is something called purchase requisition screen. I'm going to show you how to pull up this purchase requisition screen. And once you go to, and this is in the SAP, okay, this is in the SAP. In the SAP, you go to module and you go to the purchase requisition screen, and then you raise a request over here saying that you want CPUs, monitors and servers. Now this request will automatically go to the purchase department, and the purchase department will look through the request and will contact any people if required, and then they will raise the purchase order, or they will buy those items for you. But as a performance testing senior manager, you cannot raise the purchase order, you cannot buy this stuff from outside directly. So what you do is, internally you have an SAP, and there you go to module, you go to the purchase requisition screen, and then you raise a request, and then this request will go to the purchase team. Okay, purchase team. Okay, this request will go to the purchase organization or the purchase department, and then they will buy it from outside. Okay, so by raising what? By raising purchase order. By raising purchase order. Okay, to maybe some company like I don't know, like there are certain companies, okay, with those companies they will go and say, okay, we need blah blah blah, and maybe an IBM or something like that. So they will go raise the purchase order for those companies. So this is what is the process. So purchase requisition is a request which is for internal to the organization. It is not external to the organization. So as a senior manager, you are raising a request to the purchase department. Okay, purchase department is also part of Wipro. So you are also belonging to the company Wipro. Since you as a senior manager cannot buy it from outside, you are raising the request to a separate department which will buy it from outside, which is a purchase department. And for that there is a process. You cannot call them or you cannot send out an email. It has to be done through a process, and it is done in the SAP using a module, using a PR screen, and you raise a request so that it goes to the purchase department, and then they will buy the stuff for you. And this is what a purchase requisition is about. You see, purchase requisition is a request that is made to the purchase department to procure certain list of materials or certain list of items. Okay, purchase requisition, you see, is an internal document. Specifically, it remains within the organization. So you are a part of a company called Wipro, and you raised a request to a purchase department which is a part of Wipro as well. So it is an internal document, and the purchase department now will raise a request, will become an external document. So now you understood what is the purchase requisition and what is the purpose of raising a purchase requisition. Okay, now in the SAP we will go ahead, and if you are a senior manager, how do you go about and raise this purchase requisition on the SAP? Let's go ahead and see that. Okay, so for that you will obviously go to this SAP Main Screen, which is SAP Easy Access screen, and for raising the purchase requisition, watch carefully. You will go to the logistic. From this SAP menu, you go to the logistic. In the logistic, there are all the things that you wanted. Okay, but what you want is a material management module, not S&D module or the other modules. So in the SAP module, in the material management module or module, again there are a lot of stuff. Okay, so you would go to something called purchasing, and in purchase again there are a lot of stuff. You would want to go to PR or purchase requisition, and here you can go to change, display, maintenance, or create. Here you wanted to create, just double click on that, then the purchase requisition screen will show up. You wanted to raise it using the purchase requisition screen, right? So you double click on it, and this is what the purchase requisition screen so looks like. And you see from here you can raise the request, and you can say that you wanted so many CPUs, so many monitors, and so many servers from this list over here. So you can go back to where you came from. How to go back? You can click on the back button, or you don't want to exit, so you can click on the back button over here and you can go back over here. So I'm going to show you again how to navigate. Go to SAP main menu and go to logistics, and in the logistics you have material management. Go to material management, and here you have purchase requisition, and you double click on that. So it's such a pain in the neck, honestly speaking. I'll go back again. So navigating through so many paths is such a pain in the neck. Is there an easier way? Is there an easier way? Yes, there is something called transaction codes. There is something called transaction codes, popularly called as T codes. Popularly called as T codes. T stands for transaction codes. So every single thing has been given a transaction code. For creating the purchase requisition, the transaction code is ME51N. 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 For displaying the transaction codes, for displaying the transaction requisition, okay, for creating the transaction requisition, for creating the purchase requisition, it is ME51N. The transaction code is ME51N. For displaying the purchase requisition, it is ME53N. Okay, for displaying the purchase requisition that you have already created, you just wanted to display the transaction code is ME53N. So for every screen there is a transaction code and T code. So I'll start using the word called T code. So T code is to easily navigate to that page. So now that you are on the home screen, you wanted to create the PR. Okay, you wanted to create the PR. You need not have to browse, or you need not have to navigate through that such path. If you remember the T codes, you can directly go there. The T code for creating the PR is ME51N. You just double click on this on the command bar. You call this as a command bar. On the command bar, you directly enter this. Okay, you enter the T code. T code for creating the purchase requisition is ME51N. You type that and you click on enter. You directly go to that page. You directly go to that screen. So I'll stop using the word page. So it's usually called as screens. So I'll start using the word screens. So you see create purchase requisition. You directly went to that create purchase requisition screen. Okay. So T codes or transaction codes is easily navigate to the path that you wanted. Easily navigate to the screen, not path. Easily navigate to the screen that you want. You will use the T codes, and it's very this 7 to 8 T codes or transaction codes. Okay. Now using this screen, you will be able to create. Create the purchase requisition. You will be able to create the purchase requisition. Okay. So watch carefully over here. This button, you will be able to expand what is there in this button. You see the header, you wanted to look at the header. Click on that, you will be able to see the header. Again click on it, it will minimize the header. Item overview, you click on that, you will be able to see the item overview. And you click on that, it will go ahead and close it. Okay. So here there are different options. So I am going to leave it as it is, NB purchase requisition standard only. I'll leave as it is. And now I am creating a purchase requisition. Watch carefully. I am creating a purchase requisition, and you can give a header if you wanted. This is a test purchase requisition. Okay, test purchase requisition. Okay, if you want, you can minimize, or you can just leave it like that. Now item overview is where you will be entering the information. So here there is some data which is already there in the database, and you can only order those. So obviously I don't have the CPUs or servers or whatever it is. There is some material. I don't have those materials like CPUs and the monitors and server. There are some materials which is already there in the database. You can only order those as a performance testers. You cannot add more to it. If you want to add more to it, developers will add those materials. So right now we're going to use those materials which is already there and order them. So I have figured out a material which is there. It is TBW 0201. This is the material which is there. Okay, every material will have a material ID. This is the material ID for the material. So we're going to order this material. Note down this material. Okay, it is what? PW010102. PW01 PW02-01. Click on enter. Click on enter. So if you enter the material ID which is already there, then there is no errors. For example, you entered, hang on guys. So for example, you have entered some material which is not there. Okay, so let's say something like that, and you click on enter. Definitely there will be an error which will be shown up saying that the material will not be there. Not at this point of time, but once you are saving, once you have entered all the detail and you are saving the purchase requisition, that is when it will throw the error. I will also enter a wrong material ID and I will show that to you, but for now and I will show the error that it will pop up, but for now let's enter the right material. Let's enter the right material. Click on enter and click on enter. Now you have entered the material and you clicked on enter. The system wanted more data from you. You see, there is so much information that you can enter. As most of them are not mandatory. Some of them are mandatory. I'm going to enter only the mandatory fields. As a performance tester, that is what is the expectation. You enter the mandatory field and you create the scripts. So you see, I've entered the material. Now I don't know out of this all these fields what are mandatory, but the good thing about SAP is it will tell you what is the mandatory stuff that you have to enter on the status bar. You see, this is the command bar, this is the status bar. On the status bar, it will tell you what is that next mandatory item that you have to enter. You wanted to see all the mandatory items that you have to enter. You see this button over here, the item message error button. You click on that error button, it will show you all the mandatory information that you have to enter. So what all the mandatory information that you have to enter? Enter plant and enter quantity. Only if you enter those two fields, then it will allow you to send the information. Then it will allow you to save the purchase requisition. So again, you cannot give any random plant ID. You cannot give anything that you wanted. For this material is already there in certain plant. This material is there in certain plant. You have to enter that plant. This material is there in a plant called 1000. So you enter that. So be careful about this data. Enter the data that I am giving you. Okay, so what is that material that you enter? T-BW 0201. Sorry, 02-01. Okay, for this the plant is 1000. For this the plant is 1000. As soon as you enter the plant, you see this information is filled by the SAP. For this plant 1000, you see the delivery date is blah blah blah, the unit is blah blah blah. It belongs to the group called metal processing, and it belongs to, and the plant 1000 that you have given, that is the plant ID, but the actual plant is Werk Hammenberg. So it will give all that information. PGR is 01, so it will give all the information that is tied up with that particular plant. It will show up. So short text is hello shaft, so it will give you all that. Let's not worry about all that. Okay, it will show up. As long as it is showing up, that is good for us. Okay, so are we done yet? No, there is still some mandatory information that you have to enter, which is quantity. Again, you can go back to this message bar and you see, earlier it was saying enter plant and enter a quantity, but right now it is showing only enter quantity because you have already entered the plant. Now quantity, whatever you want, you can enter, buddy. So I'll just say 1, that should be good enough, and you click enter. Now you see the error bar which is showing up over is gone over here, which means that you have entered what all the mandatory information that is required for this purchase requisition. You have entered all of that, and even on the status bar it is not showing anything, which means that after you enter quantity and after you enter and then you have to press enter of entering the quantity and then you press enter, that is when you can see those messages. So you see there is no message over here, there is no message also over here, which means that you have entered all the information that is required for creating the purchase requisition. Are we done yet? Are we done yet? No, we have to save this purchase requisition. So let's go ahead and save this purchase requisition. It can be done using Ctrl S or simply clicking on this button. I'm going to go ahead and click on this button. It will take a little bit of time to process and create the purchase requisition. And once the purchase requisition is created, on the status bar, it will show up for you. You see on the status bar, it is saying purchase requisition. purchase requisition number 100138834 is created. So you can double click on that so that the same thing will be shown up in the performance assistant window. So you can copy that, and then you can save it for the future purpose. So this is the purchase requisition I have created, 100138834. So before I display this, or before I'm going to verify if this purchase requisition is properly created or not, what I will do right now is I'll try to create a purchase requisition with a material that is not there, and let's see what happens. This is performance testing. I'll just leave whatever the note. It's not mandatory. So I'll try to enter some purchase requisition which is material which is not there. Quantity I'll just say 1. Plant I'll just say 1000. Okay, you click on enter. You see the material TBW blah blah is not activated, does not exist, or is not activated. You see, so the relevant message is showing up over here. The material TBW00 does not exist or is not activated. So once you enter all the mandatory fields, then it will pop that error. Okay, if you enter only that field and you say enter, it will say okay, I'll go back and do this. Shift tab, it will go to the previous one. Tab, it will go to the next one. So I am going tab. Now you say enter, and right now I didn't enter the quantity or plant. Now I'll say enter. It will just say enter plant. Okay, it is not verifying if this material is correct or not at this point of time. All it is checking is first enter all the mandatory field. So let me enter the mandatory field which is plant. Then it will say enter quantity. I'll say quantity. Now it will check. If this material is correct or not, and at this point of time it is showing the error that material is incorrect. So either you enter the material wrong or the plant wrong, it will show up in the status bar that material is incorrect or the plant is incorrect. So that is the reason why I asked you to note down this material and the plant so that you can create the purchase requisitions. So you can do further research and you wanted to see all the materials present, you can click on this button over here. And you see the material description. Don't enter anything over here. Just click on this and press enter. It will show you all the materials which are there in the database. You can select any of these materials, but be careful. For this, let's say you have chosen 1300 and 320, you have to know the corresponding plant for that. So there are you go to online and see, like for a material, how to get the corresponding plant. So people will guide you as to how to do that. So you can select any material, but you have to select the appropriate plant for that. Okay, that is how it is. So well, earlier I have created a purchase requisition called 100138834. Now I wanted to check, I wanted to display, I wanted to see if that is there or not, if it is properly created or not. So what I can do is, okay, I can close this session. Okay, I can refresh this session, make it completely new. How can I do it? / and n means new. Click on enter, it will completely create, it will go back to the home page. It will go back to the home page, and from the home page now you can display. For the displaying, I said the transaction code for displaying is what? ME53N. So you say ME53N. Now you click on enter, it will go to the display. You see, display purchase requisition, display purchase requisition. I wanted to display the purchase requisition that I have just created, which is 3834. It is displaying some other purchase requisition which is 3820. So I wanted to display this purchase requisition. So here you click on other purchase requisitions. Right now by default it is showing some other purchase requisition, but I wanted to see the purchase requisition that I have created. I already have the number for that purchase requisition. So here you see here other purchase requisitions. Click on that and it will ask for the purchase requisition number. Paste that 3834 and you just say enter. You see the purchase requisition 3834 and you see TBW0201, that is one that we have ordered for, and you see the quantity is 1. So this is how you can display and confirm the purchase requisition has been properly created or not. And you see from here, if you wanted to go to the create purchase requisition, okay, for create purchase requisition, you see the T code is what? T code is what? ME51N for creating the purchase requisitions. If you see ME51N, see what is the error it shows. Okay, it's not gonna show up. It's not gonna show up. You see, you are there in the display purchase requisition. From here, if you are directly trying to go to create purchase requisition, it will not allow you. So what you have to do? You have to go back to the home page. How can you do it? / and N, and then you can go back to the home page. And from here, you can go back to ME51N, and then it will go to the create purchase requisition. Create purchase requisition. Or what you can do is, you can say create new session. So automatically a new session will be created. You see, you are there in the purchase requisition, and then a new session will be created. And from the new session, you can go to any other screen that you wanted. Okay, like this you can have any number of sessions you want. Right now you have two sessions. One is for create purchase requisition and the other session is for display purchase requisition. How did I create a new session? By clicking on create new session, or simply saying / and O, and then whatever you wanted to open. Let's say I wanted to open display purchase requisition or create purchase requisition ME51N. Now click on enter. So it will create one more screen for create purchase requisition. You see, now I have two sessions for create purchase requisition, one for delete purchase requisition. I can close whatever the session that I am not using. Okay, you just say new session. So it will go to the home page, and from here, using the T codes, you can go to wherever you want. Okay, by the way, here the T codes or the transaction codes, T codes are the transaction. The word transaction is completely different from the transaction from performance testing point of view. From the performance testing point of view, you call it as a transaction response times, okay, or simply the transactions, that is the request sent and the response taken. That's the transaction that we are talking about. But here the T codes and transaction codes are unique to SAP, and it is different from our performance testing point of view. This transactions is different from whatever the transaction that we use. Okay, so simply we can call it as T codes. So this is how you can create a purchase requisition. In the next video, I'll show you how to create the purchase order as well. Purchase order.